IHS, advancing decisions that advance the world.
Saudi Arabia recently came out with some news that is fast-tracking both a host of oil and gas projects. On the gas side, not that much new, really. They've been suffering domestic shortages for some time and do need to push forward as quickly as they can with whatever gas they have discovered, especially out in the Gulf. However, on the oil side, this is quite interesting, especially with a very big 900,000 barrel a day Manifa field in the Gulf, which initially was planned to be brought on stream staggered between 2012 and 13 and up to 2024. Instead, it will all be ready by 2014, with most of it actually coming on stream during 2013, which is of course quite a big difference. This news came just as it was also confirmed that a plateau extension program will be carried out over the coming few years, with a first phase at least of the coming few years, at the very big Safaniya field, 1.3 million barrels a day from the Gulf, its biggest offshore field. Now that together means that while Manifa initially was planned to compensate for mature decline elsewhere, that will be done by Safaniya and other projects to a much greater degree, while Manifa actually will add new capacity. So it seems like Saudi Arabia thinks that it might need some new capacity because its current cushion, spare capacity cushion, which is so important for its role in OPEC, is being eroded quickly as it's thought, mainly of course by Asian demand, but also by crises like in Libya, for instance. And it clearly feels that with several other OPEC members not being successful to add additional volumes, it might need to step in much further than initially thought. Well, Iraq has given us a spate of news recently. It seems now finally we have an oil minister confirmation that the massive 12 million barrel a day target, production capacity target for 2017 will be cut. Now, the fact that they were never going to reach that is hardly surprising to anybody. But what is more interesting is that he also hinted, well, more than hinted perhaps, at the way in which the Iraqis will propose to do so, while at the same time compensating oil companies developing the oil fields for the lesser value of their contracts, which would come from lowered production rates from the oil fields. We have to remember that oil companies are receiving a remuneration fee per barrel produced. So lower production would mean less money. Now, the oil minister, Abdul Karim al-Luaibi, said that prolonging the plateau production period, which initially was foreseen to be 7 years, during which the companies had to make sure that the plateau production was being upheld, prolonging that, perhaps doubling it, but instead producing half the rate of initially envisaged, would be a way forward. And while oil companies might be a bit wary to commit to maybe still getting the money, but during a much longer time, and hence face much longer exposure to Iraqi uncertainty, at least it is a very important first step, which shows that negotiations for a form of renegotiation of these contracts can actually begin. Projects in Iraq have gone off to a great start, actually, especially given where Iraq came from. However, it was always going to be clear that there would be bottlenecks, infrastructural bottlenecks, red tape, just organizational bottlenecks and shortages. Iraq suffers from a tremendous shortage of skills after decades of brain drain. And all this is just starting now to become increasingly visible. We've already heard oil companies for most of this year complain that they have a problem moving their senior staff and experts in and out of Iraq. Visas take too long time. Even equipment and cargoes that need to be taken into Iraq are taking a long time at customs. There are insufficient port facilities to quickly move a growing amount of material and equipment being taken in. And that is only just the beginning, unfortunately. The Iraqis are seemingly making headway on expanding pipelines and export facilities, but this will take time, and they too will very soon start to see their constraints and bottlenecks, not the least because they have a shortage of project managers with relevant industry skill. So unfortunately, it seems like we have delay build-ups, and we're starting to see them already But during 2011, the rest of 2011 and 2012 and 13, this is likely to balloon. Iraqi Kurdistan and the companies producing and exporting crude from there, which right now is only Norway's DNO, China's Sinopec and Turkish General Energy, they have recently been paid from the Iraqi government for the first oil exports that they were able to do from the region. That is a massive breakthrough. It's not a full breakthrough, however, because the companies are still not being paid their production share, including a profit margin. They're only being paid the cost recovery and the operational costs. But still, it is a very important step forward, which sort of undermines the whole previous Iraqi government argument that these contracts were illegal. In effect, we have a precedent now saying that, well, they have been paid, so they can't be illegal. And from now on, perhaps there's a much better opportunity for talks and for negotiations between the KRG on one side and the oil companies and, of course, the Iraqi government on the other side.
IHS, advancing decisions that advance the world.